The evening air was crisp, carrying a faint chill that prickled my skin as I lounged in the backyard, a stolen glass of wine in hand. I'm Ethan Twinkty, due fresh out of college, still figuring out my next move, while crashing at home. The house was unusually quiet tonight, a stark contrast to the usual buzz when Miss Stepmom Lauren threw her famous get-togethers. Her parties were legendarily loud and full of her effortlessly harm friends, but tonight it was just him, savoring the solitude and the soft them of the hot tub nearby, its steam curling into the night like a whispered secret. I leaned back, letting the wine's warmth spread through me, my thoughts drifting in the stillness. Life felt like it was on pause, and I was caught somewhere between freedom and uncertainty. The sliding glass door cracked open, snapping me out of my reverie. Lauren stepped out, her laughter soft but infectious, followed by two of her friends, Claire and Sophie. They whirled, holding drinks, their faces glowing with a carefree joy that made the night feel alive again. Lauren's eyes caught mine, sparkling with that familiar teasing glint I'd grown to find oddly comforting over the years. Ethan Wetter, you doing out here all alone? Sheckled, her voice warm but laced with playful curiosities. I shrugged, caught off guard, my cheeks flushing slightly under her gaze. I hadn't expected company, especially not hers, as they approached, and noticed they were all in bikinis, their light robes slipping off their shoulders, revealing their intention to sink into hot tubs, inviting warmth. Seal, with her easy smile and sharp wit, tilted her head. You should join us, Ethan, she said, her tone light but with a hint of challenge that made my stomach flip before I could respond. Lauren was beside me, her fingers brushing mine as she deftly plucked the wineglass from my hand. Come on, don't be shy, she teased, her eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. The water's perfect tonight. My heart raced, a mix of excitement and unease swirling in my chest. I wasn't sure what I was feeling. Part of me wanted to bolt, but their collective warmth, their laughter pulled me in like a tide. I hesitated, my mind screaming that this was crossing some invisible line. But their encouraging smiles made it hard to say no. With a nervous nod, I stood watching as Claire and Sophie shed their robes and slipped into the hot tub, their laughter bubbling up like the water itself. Lauren's hand grazed my arm, her touch lingering just a moment too long, and I felt my breath catch. I stepped into the tub, the warm water wrapping around me like a blanket, easing tension in my shoulders. Lauren settled in beside me, her presence both familiar and disorienting. Sophie's voice got through the steam, soft and reassuring. Relax, Ethan, we're just here to have fun. Her words were meant to soothe, but they only heightened my awareness of how close everyone was. Lauren passed me another glass of wine, her fingers brushing mine again, and I couldn't tell if it was the heat of the water or her touch that made my skin burn. The conversation flowed about Lauren's latest work, drama, Claire's travel adventures, Sophie's harp one-liners. Their laughter was infectious, and I found myself loosening up. The wine dulling my nerves, but beneath the surface, something else is stirred. Every so often, I'd kept eyes on me, her gaze holding a weight I couldn't quite decipher. Hers holder brushed mine as she leaned in to refill my glass. Her touch, casual but electric. Claire and Sophie watched us, their smiles carrying a knowing edge that made my pulse quicken. I tried to play it cool, but my heart was pounding, betraying the calm I was trying to project. As the night deepened, the air grew heavier, charged with an unspoken urge. Lauren's hand rested lightly on my arm, her fingers tracing small circles that sent my thoughts spiraling. I glanced at Claire, who was watching with a playful smirk, and Sophie, whose eyes seemed to ask a question I wasn't ready to answer. The line between casual fun and something more was blurring, and I was caught in the middle, unsure whether to lean in or pull back. Lauren leaned closer, her breath warm against my ear, as whispered, "You're doing fine, Ethan, just let go." Her words were soft, but they hit me like a wave, stirring a mix of curiosity and fear. Claire's laughter broke the tension, but only for a moment. He's cute when he's nervous, she teased, her eyes locking onto mine. Sufficient, brushed my shoulder, a fleeting tuck that added to the chaos in my mind. You deserve to have a little fun, she said, her voice gentle but firm, like she was giving me permission I hadn't asked for. I froze, my mind racing. This wasn't just about a night in a hot tub anymore. The warmth of the water, the wine, their closeness, it was overwhelming. Wanted to say something, to set a boundary, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I nodded, my heart thumping so loudly I was sure they could hear it. Lauren's hand moved to my knee, a steady pressure that grounded me, even as it sent my thoughts into a tail spin. We sat there, the steam rising around us, the moment heavy with unspoken possibilities. As the night wore on, the lines we'd crossed became harder to ignore. The laughter faded into quieter moments filled with glances and touches that felt like they meant more. I didn't know where this was going, but I couldn't deny the pull when Claire and Sophie finally stepped out, wrapping themselves into wells, and giggling as they headed inside. Len lingered. She turned to me, her eyes soft but intense. Ethan, she said quietly, her voice carrying a weight hat made my chest tighten. Then she was gone, leaving me alone in the hot tub, amid a whirlwind of emotions. I stayed there, the water lapping against my skin, trying to make sense of it all. That night had shifted something in me, questions about boundaries, trust, and who he was in this strange new dynamic. I felt nervous, exhilarated, and terrified all at once. As I leaned back, staring at Thesters, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The next morning I woke with a dull headache and a flood of memories. For a moment I wondered if it had been a dream, Lauren, Claire, Sophie, the hot tub, but as I dragged myself downstairs, the real me, the house was quiet. A note on the counter from Lauren: out for brunch, with girls back later. Relief washed over. I wasn't ready to face her yet. It needed time to process the mix of guilt and excitement swirling inside me. Lauren was my After all, what had happened last night, and why did I feel so drawn to it? When Lauren returned, she looked relaxed, her smile easy but tinged with something else, nervousness. "Mid-morning," she said, her voice casual as she busied herself with a cup of tea. The silence between us grew thick, heavy with unspoken questions. Finally she turned. "Tome about last night," she started, and my heart skipped. "I hope you're not uncomfortable. It wasn't planned, it just happened." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. "I'm not uncomfortable," I said, the words feeling inadequate. "Just surprised." Her smile softened, and she nodded. "We're real adults here, Ethan. What happens stays between us. But if you want to pretend it didn't happen, we can." "Did he want that?" The question haunted me as 2 days passed. The memory of Lauren's touch, Claire's tease and smile, Sophie's gentle corrigement. It was all seared into mimimed. Life at home returned to normal, or at least it tried to. Lauren and I went back to our usual routine. Breakfast at shared chores, but there was a new undercurrent, a quiet tension that hadn't been there before. One afternoon Lauren knocked on my door, her expression hesitant. "Can we talk?" she asked it, sitting on the edge of my bed. Her silk robe reminded me of that night, my pulse. "I've been thinking about that night," she said, her voice low, "and I was wondering if you'd want to talk more." "Jess." "Us." My mind screamed to say no, to draw a line, but the memory of her closeness, the way she'd looked at me, was too much. "Okay," I heard myself say, my voice barely above a whisper. "Let's see where it goes." That night, we stayed up talking in a way we never had before. It wasn't just about the hot tub or the physical pull, it was about trust, vulnerability, and the boundaries we were navigating. Lauren opened up about her own fears, her past, and I found myself sharing things I'd never told anyone. That connection wasn't just physical, it was emotional, raw and real. As weeks turned into months, Lauren and I settled into a new rhythm. By day we were stepmom and stepson, but at night behind closed doors we shared something deeper. It wasn't just about attraction, it was about understanding, about finding a connection thought defied explanation. But it wasn't without complications. There were moments of doubt, of fear. What if someone found out? What if this changed everything? On evening, Lauren brought up Claire and Sophie. "They've been asking about you," she said, her tone careful. "How would you feel about including them again?" My heart raced, a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "We don't have to," she added quickly. "I'm happy with just us, but it could be fun." I thought about it, weighing the risks and the pull of that night's or my priority, I said, pulling her close, "But I'm open to it." The next weekend Claire and Sophie joined us again. The nervous energy from that first night was gone, replaced by a comfortable warmth. The evening unfolded into a blur of laughter, closeness, and moments that felt both thrilling and grounding. But with this new dynamic came questions about boundaries and consent, things I hadn't fully considered before. I started reading up on healthy relationships to communicate openly and set clear boundaries. Consent isn't just a one-time thing, it's ongoing, a conversation that needs to happen every step of the way. I learned that attraction and emotions can be complex, but they should always be rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Lauren and I talked about this, to setting ground rules to ensure I own felt safe and valued. It about the physical, it was about trust, about making sure no one felt pressured or unsure. As summer faded into fall, Lauren and I grew closer, our bond deepening through shared moments and honest conversations. Claire and Sophie joined occasionally, but Lauren and I were the core, our connection unshakable. One night, as we lay on the couch, she looked at me, her eyes soft but serious. "I think I'm falling in love with you," she said, her voice trembling. Relief flooded me, and I cupped her face. "I've been in love with you for a while now. When you the world wouldn't understand, but we're determined to make it work." Asa sat on the back porch one crisp autumn evening watching the sunset. Lauren smiled. "I never thought that night in the hot tub would lead to this," she said. I laughed. Pulling her close nithered at eye, the journey had been a whirlwind full of discovery, love and lessons, about rust and boundaries I'd learned thatch relationships. No matter how conventional thrive on communication, respect, consent isn't just a buzzword, it's the foundation of any connection. And while our story was ours alone, it taught me to listen to my heart while honoring the boundaries of those I cared about. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I held Lauren tightly, knowing that, whatever came next, we'd face it together. Thank you so much for joining on this storytelling journey. If you enjoyed this tale of love, trust, and self-discovery, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more stories on Broken Vows. Your support means the world, and I can't wait to share more with you.